Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure today to introduce a study on the topic of speaking assessment by Paul Seedhouse. This article is titled The Dual Personality of Topic in the IELTS Speaking Test, and it was published in the ELT Journal in 2019. And so today we're going to see how topic plays a central role in the speaking section of the IELTS exam. So in this video, I'll first start off with an overview of the IELTS speaking exam and some of its basic information. Next, we'll take a look at the major points in the previous literature and how the IELTS speaking exam is structured. Then we will move on to the main focus of this paper, what dual personality of topic is, and I will finish with possible limitations and critiques of the study. So the IELTS speaking exam is one of the four components of IELTS, aside from reading, listening, and writing. Most students choose to take this exam in hopes to apply for future studies abroad in British and Australian universities. A neat fact is that over 7,000 examiners administered over 3 million IELTS speaking exams in 140 countries in 2017. And this speaking exam mainly measures the learner's speaking proficiency for work or school-related purposes overseas. And scoring in the IELTS speaking exam ranges from 1, a non-user, to 9, a expert user. And the test time is around 11 to 14 minutes. The structure of the exam is divided into three parts if you take a look at point number 3 on this slide. And what the author likes to call it divides the three parts into an introduction, which is the candidate answers some general questions about themselves. For example, the homes, families, job, studies, interest. And in part 2, which the author defines as individual long-term, in this part the candidate is given a verbal prompt on a card and it's asked to speak extensively on a particular topic. So if we remember from my speaking task presentation, this would be considered a monologic task, speaking task. And in part 3, a two-way discussion. The examiner engages in a discussion of more abstract issues that's extended from part 2, and it focuses on the themes that were discussed in part 2. And this speaking exam is administered face-to-face with a certified examiner. And finally, students are graded from 4 criteria: their fluency in coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy and pronunciation. So for evaluation, candidates are evaluated on their ability to develop on this nominated topic. And you will see that topic is employed in the IELTS speaking rubric or speaking bands, descriptors, to differentiate different levels. For example, you will see on this photo over here, the public version of the rubric under fluency and coherence. It is used to differentiate Band 8 from Band 9. You will see in Band 8 it says develop topics coherently and appropriately. And as for Band 9, it says develop topics fully and appropriately. And for lower levels, if you take a look at lexical resource at Band 3, it says has insufficient vocabulary for less familiar topics. And this is different from Band 4, is able to talk about familiar topics, but can only convey basic meaning on unfamiliar topics. So they use this band with descriptors on topic to differentiate the score given to the candidates. Over here, there has been empirical studies that delve into the IELTS speaking exam. For instance, scholars have offered a detailed background and design and development of the IELTS speaking test. There have also been a number of research studies that focuses on the interview or the exam test in general and the speaking test in particular. However, there are a few studies that have considered topicality as a focus of in the IELTS speaking exam. And for those that did, for example, Casper And Ross's work showed that in the interview test, it is common for interviewers to ask multiple questions on a specific topic. For Looning and O'Sullivan's study, they investigated how topic contributes to the task difficulty. So, for this article, it investigates the role of topic in the IELTS speaking exam based on 3 funded conversation analysis studies of real IELTS speaking exam test data. And on this slide, I will now introduce the researcher's concept of dual personality of topic in the IELTS speaking exam. He notes that these personalities as topic as script and topic as action. So topic as action is a scripted statement of the topic on the examiner's cards prior to the interaction, whereas topic as action is how the topic is developed or taught during the course of introduction. So now you may be wondering how topic fits into the organization of the speaker's test. Well, all of the questions contain 2 components: an adjacent pair component, which requires the candidate to provide an answer to a question, and a topic component, which requires the candidate to develop this specific topic. And so this organization from the research point of view is called topic scripted question answer adjacency pair. And so the topic as script is always introduced with the means of a question. And in order to obtain a high score, the candidates need to first A, understand the question they have been asked, B, provide an answer to the question, C, identify the topic inherent in the question, and D, develop the topic inherent in the question. So for a high score example, you will see that the topic has been predetermined and it's in line 35. And you can pause the video here to see how the candidate develops his or her topic as action. And for this question, the candidate was asked, what qualifications or certifications do you hope to get? So the candidate could reply a very simple response. For example, I hope to get an MBA. But you will see that the candidate fully develops a narrative topic as action in his or her response. However, not all candidates can develop topics as action so successfully. Here's a low scoring example. And so the candidate's response may have failed because of A, the answer to the question, but failed to develop the topic as action. Or maybe he failed to answer the question, but say something that's along the lines of topic as script. Or maybe he failed to answer the question or develop the topic as action, so he doesn't answer the question at all. So you see the extent to which the candidate develops the topic as action is very critical when the examiner gives the candidate a score. Because in Band 6, under coherence and fluency, there is a description saying they're willing to talk at length. Okay. And in part 2, the examiner gives the candidate a scripted verbal prompt on a card and 1 minute to prepare, and the candidate speaks while the examiner listens. So the examiner expects the candidate to first answer the question or complete the task and provide a extended topic development of the topic. And you can pause the video here to see how a high scoring example of part 2. So in conclusion, topic is used as the main organizing mechanism in the interaction of the IELTS speaking exam. It's also a key means of providing valid assessment of oral proficiency. And so we will see that the topic as script acts like a template for interaction throughout the test, and it enables standardization of input to candidates. But at the same time, it's also necessary for the candidate to output the response, so examiners can differentiate different scoring bands. And finally, the understanding of interaction is organized in the IELTS speaking test, provides learners knowledge on topic development and score. In addition, it provides researchers and teachers with a methodology for analysis and evaluation. Okay, so I believe this study offers us a few implications. First, learners may examine the useful strategies used by high scoring candidates, and these are worth noting because learners may mimic these strategies and answer part 1, 2, and 3 of the exam themselves. Also, a useful procedure when preparing candidates for language interview test is to look at the transcription of the real test so they can compare and analyze the two personalities of topic. However, this study only analyzed a small sample of speaking tests, which may not represent all IELTS speaking tests globally. So, in addition, aside from a good command of the topic, the examiner should also take other factors such as cognitive and affective factors into consideration when evaluating speakers. So I'm curious to know about the development of questions that undergo at test centers. How do they ensure the speaking prompts are fair? Lastly, if the researchers provided a low scoring sample in part 2 and some examples of high and low samples in part 3, this will give learners a more holistic view of strategies used in the real test. And so for future research, I think it would be nice if they could create a larger sample size of responses and create a framework that enhances learners' speaking competence regarding the speaking test and incorporate the dual topic along with emphasis on the four grading criteria. This is my presentation. Thank you all for staying, and I wish you a good week. Thank you.